exit is going to be in a cave somewhere, so in order to find it, we're going to have to go digging around anyway. Now, the question is, can we craft one of the eyes of exit? How does that work out? Oh, okay, those are crafted out of copper and iron. Interesting. I honestly think I prefer having a double jump to having jump boost in the game. The option to jump 1 block or 2 blocks is actually really nice, and it makes traversal in areas like this pretty fun. Now, let's see if we can get down into a cave. Looks like there are a couple of dugouts in this area, but not anything too significant. I want to find a good ravine or something like that so we can get off to a cracking start. Wait a second, here's our exit. That's not in a cave, actually. Well, that's good to know. I should probably take the coordinates of this just to make sure we can come back to it, because we're not even ready to do anything yet, although maybe I should use this as my opportunity to dig down. We'll get a little bit more stone, I'll make some sticks so I can craft a shovel, and let's go in search of iron. There is some copper, at least, and I know I can mine that with a stone pickaxe, so let's take some of that, and we can use that to craft our eye of exit later, although I guess we don't need to now we found one. There's a really good pocket of iron. Okay, great. I will also take a look into whether or not the raw blocks are of significant value, because of course we don't need to smelt them if the raw blocks are of equivalent value to a smelted block. I just haven't checked that out yet. Oh my goodness, okay, did not expect to fall directly into a cave, so here we are, and should probably keep my head on a swivel because there will be skeletons down here. But if
I just realized
hold myself up in a wall,
getting to dual drive with Ryzeal is a 1-card combo that gets you +2
Let's quickly
in
check
card.
the value of this. A raw block is
Bruh.
worth 1.8. Okay, so we don't even need to smelt that if we're just considering it for the raw XP value. Okay, we have a shield all cooked up now, and now we should hopefully be able to defend ourselves. But what's happening with the shield? It doesn't look like I'm using it in quite the same way I normally would. Okay, I'm worried about that. Can I not use a shield unless I've unlocked some sort of skill? I genuinely don't know what my offhand is doing here, but oh god. Yeah, looks like I'm gonna have a tough time with this one. Okay, well, we are fighting for our lives here, but I should probably just stay topped up with food. There we go. I felt it in my very bones. I'm definitely feeling it in my bones when these skeletons shoot me so much. Maybe I should avoid skeletons until I figure out what's going on with the shield, because I kind of rely on those for dealing with skellies. But either way, we should be able to snaffle up a little bit more iron here, and oh god, the cave just extends and extends further and further below. I think an iron pickaxe will be a good idea. We'll need to make sure that we can gather some more precious resources. I'm really interested in getting hold of a block of diamond and seeing how much value that brings, considering how good lapis was for us last time. There we go, that's an iron pickaxe. Ignore all of the arrows sticking out of me. We've marked our exit, and now it's time to see where we can get down here. Really need to keep my health topped up. Very happy that I brought a few more extra pork chops with me, because, oh, did we get a skeleton skull out of that? No, just a trophy. Oh, never mind. Oh, I think I just worked out what's going on with the dirt. I think that's actually from the dirt enjoyer thing that we unlocked. I think it's just randomly going to drop dirt blocks near me. That's hilarious. We'll grab the redstone anyway, just because it's out here and I don't see much more around it, so that's not too much of a problem. But yeah, I think there's something going on with the dirt. I'm not entirely certain what. I feel like occasionally I just lay dirt like an egg. It's a little strange. Yeah, I think I'm dropping it out of my own inventory in a weird way. Like, I've got a stack of 11 dirt that keeps diminishing to 10, and I don't know what the deal is with that. Plenty of iron in this here cave, though, and it's really nice, actually, to have raw blocks as an option, so we don't have to do all of that smelting. Means much less waiting around. We'll get some gold as well, because I didn't manage to get all of the minerals last time, so copper and gold I really did not spend a great deal of time with. We'll grab all of those. We'll convert the blocks of raw copper are worth the same as raw iron, which is huge. And I can look up the value of everything here in the crafting interface. So let's take a look at raw gold. That's also 1.8. Okay, that's fair. Well, copper is going to be really lucrative in that case, because there's obviously places where you can find a ton of copper. There's our favorite block, and there's some lapis. Wonderful. I bet block of emerald goes absolutely crazy too, because you don't get a great deal of those in world generation. Obviously, you'd get them from villager trading, but there don't seem to be any villagers spawning in these worlds. The items having a little bit of movement inertia because of the icy surfaces is also really fun. Let's make up these redstone blocks. I think I'll chuck out the deep slate and stuff. We won't really need too much of that. Oh, I've never been so happy to see so much lapis. This is going to be great. And amazingly, we're not actually that far down. We've only just hit -36 on the y-axis, so we're making plenty of progress here. But this waterfall looks like a great way to get down to what is hopefully a level that will generate a ton more diamonds and other precious resources. There's certainly a lot of redstone right here. I've just noticed that the trophies have different grades. There's a grass one here, there's a stone one. Is that just for how many of them you've killed, maybe? Once you kill a certain number of skeletons, you get a trophy for it or something? I don't know. Either way, we got some diamonds right here. Let's grab some of them while we can and get a little extra XP for it too. There's some diamonds around here I'm going to have to rescue from lava, it looks like, but we're certainly getting close to the amount I will need for a full block. No, it's been so long since I lost diamonds to lava. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I let it do that. Okay, my axe just broke. I'm getting hurt bad by these skeletons, and I'm still really annoyed that my shield doesn't work, so let me figure out another quick solution here. There's so much redstone in here, and we've been getting a ton of blocks of it, but it's still nowhere near as valuable as blocks of lapis are. I wonder if that's to do with their proportions in world generation. Like, lapis is a relatively uncommon material, even though you get a ton of it out of the ore block. That's another fun thought, actually. I wonder what ore blocks get you. I wonder if Silk Touch is going to have radically different rewards compared to having a full block of an ore, like a raw block of copper. Still, so many questions. Either way, I think I've just gotten 15 XP levels, which should be enough to get me another couple of interesting level ups. I'm going to get Learning 2 and Learning 3 here. Obviously, we get a lot more XP from those. We've still got 5 levels to spend. I'm a little bit worried about what Need for Speed is, considering we also have the Icy level going on, but maybe it just gives us a bit of a speed increase. I can't really tell at this point, so that's probably a good sign. But I just want to find a couple more diamonds so that we can complete a full diamond block and see how valuable those are from the exit portal. There's one up there. I'm also pretty sure that this right here is the end of a huge vein of iron, so if we wanted to get a ton of raw iron blocks, we could certainly do it that way. I'm going to try returning to the cave above because there might be some diamonds up here, and I mostly don't want to lose my way back home. Oh, there's a dungeon spawner here. I had no idea these were going to exist, so that's wild. I actually don't have the means to light it up, but I might as well just break the spawner since we're not going to be coming back here or anything. Such a pain. I literally ran out of coal right as I got down here. So let's light it up with a furnace and take a quick look. We got a bit of stuff in here. There's some bones. Obviously, we can break those down for bone meal, which seems to be more valuable than the bones themselves. The records are worth 1 point each, which really isn't much compared to some of this other stuff. Even the saddle is not worth a great deal. Let's use these logs to make a bit more charcoal. That way I can make more torches. But we're doing pretty well on loot so far. I'd say we can probably return to the surface soon. I was just scouting a neighboring cave in case it had the diamonds I wanted to complete a full block. Because a block of diamond is worth 9. Okay, that's actually kind of interesting considering that a block of lapis is worth like way more than 9 lapis is. So I think that's kind of strange, but I guess maybe we can just go ahead and bring back the amount of diamonds we have because there seems to be no real benefit to us getting more. Also, is it me or is this furnace moving way faster than a normal furnace and also smelting twice as much stuff? This was one piece of charcoal and it's smelting like maybe twice as much? Maybe that is the benefit of being an apprentice smelter. Who knows what being a master smelter is? Either way, I have torn through a lot of my supplies, and it looks like we're probably not going to get much back from having that furnace around, so let me quickly see if I can gather up any more lapis, since that's the more lucrative stuff down here. Oh, there is a diamond right there. I might grab that diamond. I might grab the diamond below it as well. Okay, well, at least that got us 9 diamonds, but that amounts to a single diamond block, which is still pretty valuable, but just as valuable and not increasing in value from the individual diamonds themselves. Well, either way, I did what I set out to do, which was get a block of diamond, and I'm very, very low on health right now, so oh gosh. Yep, no, there it goes. Ah, look at our score as well. That would have been XP that converted for us. All we have to do is accept defeat. Mine failed. Oh, boo. Well done. We're putting that one on the right-hand side, and we could re-enter that mine if we wanted to give it another try, but there's absolutely no guarantee that my stuff would still be there. But I think for the sake of curiosity, I might give that a try. Ah, we have an Eye of Exit now. Interesting. So we've actually got that with us. Well, no, from the looks of things, I think I mined out this tree in order to get down here. So maybe some of my items are still going to be in this dimension? Yeah, this was it, right here, which means that our path down is probably still here. The question is, did our items survive that? The torches are all still placed, which means I have my way down lit for me. I don't have any food this time around, though, so I should be a little careful about where I tread. Let's see if I can figure out which way I went. Unfortunately, I'm going to get killed by skeletons pretty quickly. Try my best to dodge the skeletons' arrows where I can, but no, we are pretty much doomed here, I think. There it goes. All right. Well, we will accept defeat for the third and final time, and unfortunately all of that stuff got lost. But there we go. That is roguelike Minecraft for you in a big way. At least the next one has a surface world with cave exits, but the deep dark biome is in there as well. Oh my goodness. Well, maybe we should try again. Maybe we'll put the icy surfaces in here as well. And what do we want to add in terms of biomes? I think maybe we'll need forest biomes at least. Or perhaps tiger biomes? We haven't seen those yet. We'll change it up a little bit for world number 4. This one is going to be better than the last. I'm manifesting that now. All right, well, we can at least start smelting stuff as soon as we get in here. There's some easy food nearby in the form of these sweet berries, so let's grab those. We've got chickens, we've got pigs, we've got skeletons again. Let's crush up all these sweet berry bushes and be on our merry way down to a cave. And oh my gosh, it looks like there are multiple exits really close by to each other, actually, but the entire world this time is made out of diorite because I didn't change the stone type. We got foxes as a mine ingredient. Yes. Okay, new goal. Acquire 30 levels and get hold of, what was it called? Deepest pockets. I am so tired of having such a limited inventory. I really want a little bit more of that. Could also really do with some starter mining equipment so I don't have to do this grind every time. And yeah, I don't know if you can make a stone pickaxe out of diorite. Oh, fortunately you can. Okay, well, I'm not sure if that's actually a vanilla crafting recipe or if they've added that in for this just because the surface world isn't always made out of raw stone, but that is good to know. And we're already recouping some of our losses in the form of a bunch of copper, so we can at least make sure we have that, but oh, the lapis bonus is so good, I really need to get hold of some of that. At least I know where one of the exits is, which is right here on the surface. Take the coords of that. I actually wonder if going diving would be a viable alternative to mining in caves. That tends to be how I do it in Minecraft Bingo, because all you need is a door to make sure that you can breathe every so often. And down here I've stumbled into a nice patch of coal and copper. Not only that, but I can hear skeletons nearby, which probably means there's a cave somewhere under this. Well, would you look at that, we found it. And we've washed a few skeletons away from us, which is good. Let's make sure we mark the exit up here. And I'm just going to run through looking for lapis and have skeletons spawn right next to me, apparently. Oh gosh, I'm getting tossed around immediately. Yeah, high saturation food is clearly a must in an area with skeletons. Yeah, these berries are barely doing anything for my health, unfortunately. Let's see if we can find some chickens, because I'm pretty sure I saw some around here before. And there are pigs here also. Perfect. Round 2 in the Skelly Cave, and an actual lack of skeletons right now. I think perhaps because they're all hiding in the crevices, but perhaps also because I stepped away and gave them a little bit of time to despawn. That's zombie piglins? Oh, what, with the skeletons? Why is that a zombie piglin sprite, though? Very strange, very unusual. Either way, we've managed to clear out the area around the lapis, so I can at least get hold of some of that. Oh, yes, give it to me. That alone is worth the price of admission, but it's probably time to dig too greedily and too deep again. Yep, certainly a lot of skeletons down this end of the cave. Not too keen on that, but fortunately I have better food now. And with no food left, but fortunately the skeletons down there fighting each other, I think it's probably time for me to beat a hasty retreat to the surface. And maybe with this amount of stuff in my inventory, perhaps it's time to cut my losses? Let me see if I can craft some of this stuff down. Oh yeah, bone meal was probably more valuable than bone blocks, wasn't it? But I don't have a great way of getting a bed in this world, so I can't really skip the night, and dealing with skeletons is too chaotic for me. So I think we're going to leave this mine where we are, actually, and just cash in the reward for getting double XP for having those slippery surfaces. And hopefully this should at least get us a decent amount of XP towards that next level up, which, yes, I want to make sure we claim deepest pockets, so finally we have a full inventory again. Oh, and not a moment too soon. I think in a similar way to the way regular enchanting levels work, it's probably a good idea to spend them on 30 levels once you reach that, or spend them as soon as you get hold of the reward that you're working towards, because you'll just end up gaining more levels faster once you're building the backup from 0 again. Either way, this is definitely next on the agenda, and if we want to start in a full set of leather armor, it looks like we need 20 levels for that, and also bringing a snack with you, I guess, costs you 15 levels. I guess this is the skill we need to unlock before we can use a shield, and a shield bash is a possibility. That's a cool idea. We're only one level off of this one, but maybe we should work on that in our next mine. For now, we're going to place this in the list of levels we've actually won, although sadly, no trophies from that. Okay, I've blown the cobwebs out a little bit. Let's head back in. Let's aim to get ourselves upgraded to something like an iron axe or an iron sword. Obviously, that's going to take a lot of levels, but we got 9 on deck already. And, oh, the Minecrafter has got some curveballs for us. Okay, never mind. We have done 3 worlds that we've completed, 1 world that we failed, and now it's giving us this. Well, I guess we're going to have to go in there anyway. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but let's see, I suppose. And the text enlarging at the bottom of the screen has never felt more ominous. I don't know what I'm prepared for here, but it says something about skeletons, so... Oh, it's wave survival. Oh, gosh. Okay, yikes. And we're in a cave world of some kind. There are already spiders. Oh, gosh. I'm not looking good here, actually. There are no trees, so I can't make anything. I have a feeling this is a world we are going to fail quite quickly. But maybe the point is just to get to the exit. There is a dungeon spawner here. I wonder if this has any loot or anything for me. Oh, it's got bones, coal, string, nothing that I can really use as a weapon. I've already dropped my furnace, and apparently the glowing skeletons are maybe the ones I need to take out. But it looks like I don't have the means to defend myself. Neither does it look like I will acquire the means to defend myself, because we're in a cave world where there's absolutely no chance of me getting anything at all, resource-wise, except for sand. And I thought this was going to be an exit, but it turns out it's just a water source coming down from the ceiling. I wonder if the exit will only spawn once I've dealt with those glowing skeletons, because there are only a couple of them up there. On the other hand, if I run away from them far enough, do they despawn? Does that progress the wave counter? Oh, the only problem with that is I'm now running out of food and cannot sprint. So it looks like we are probably going to fail this one, but I may as well go back and attempt to fight the skeletons. Something tells me hand-to-hand combat is not going to be especially effective, but we can try and play this smart. Maybe I'll get the skeleton to shoot at another mob, and maybe that way, or maybe they can get blown up by creepers as well. Maybe that way we can deal with the skeletons. Oh, yeah, one of the skeletons just got killed by a zombie. Fantastic. The zombies are doing the work for me, and at least this skeleton is going to be surrounded by zombies, so there's a greater chance of it hitting one of the zombies. But then, of course, we'll probably have to deal with another wave of enemies. Oh, God. Oh, yep. No, I died. I guess we do have to accept defeat for that one. Spooky, scary skeletons we have lost. Well, maybe that's something I should be aware of happening in future, and that one can go over there. Oh, my nemesis. I'll be back for that at some point. Now let's hope the Minecrafter has restored itself. Yes. Oh, thank goodness for that. We got cows as an ingredient here. We've got andesite. Creepers are in there as a basic mob. That's okay. Let's see if we can add the deep dark biome, although it says the maybe not so deep and maybe not entirely dark. I wonder if that means it's going to generate on the surface as well, or it's just going to ignore height. And when I'm trying to think about what we can potentially bring in terms of resources, perhaps slime will be a good thing to have around, although they do spawn at any light level, so that's a bit of a concern, but I wonder if making slime blocks is going to be valuable as far as XP output goes. Either way, we're going to find out, and we better hope this works, because I lost all my levels losing that previous mine. Here we go, let's go back in for a bit more of a normal one this time. And once again, I think my goal is going to be to acquire as many levels as I can so that we can unlock some of the starter equipment, so that I no longer have to go into those skeleton levels or whatever challenge levels that it throws at me every so often without any starter equipment, because evidently in some levels we're not going to be able to craft our own starter equipment, and that is something that I'll have to deal with later. Honestly, I'm just really happy to have acquired wood again. Now let's make ourselves a pickaxe. Let's start off by getting some stone, and we'll go from there. But at last, we do have a full inventory, so I can actually use this in a way that I would use stuff in standard Minecraft. We've immediately dug down into some copper, so I'll grab all of the copper I can, because we know we can craft that into raw blocks. But even though I've been trying to avoid spoilers, somebody did point out in the comments of a previous episode that if you make cut copper, it could potentially be valuable. Even though the raw blocks of material are actually worth exactly the same amount as the smelted blocks of material, maybe we can break these down into 4 using the stone cutter. Oh, the other question I have, though, and this could potentially be problematic, is can we turn andesite into natural stone? No, we can't. Okay, so I won't be able to make a stone cutter. At least I don't think I'll be able to, because the stone cutter recipe is probably still going to require natural stone. In fact, I haven't even got the stonecutter recipe, which is odd. But if we make a block of copper like this, we can at least look up the recipe for cut copper and make sure that that's available there. Those are worth 7.2. That's way more than a block of copper, and also we can get 4 of them from a block of copper provided we have a stonecutter. So maybe that's the reason I can't craft a stonecutter yet. I don't see it here in the recipes, but maybe we need to handle some iron ingots and make some natural stone for that to happen. So mathematically it works, but gameplay mechanics-wise, we may have found a loophole there. That's exciting. Sweet berries, I think we already looked at. They're not all that valuable. They are just here to be food. I will also grab some food from the nearby pigs because we'll need some pork chops where we're going. Oh, and of course there are cows here as well, so we might be able to get some leather stuff on the go. It will at least be possible to get some steak, which would be nice. But honestly, at this point, I'm interested in seeing how much leather is worth, or leather armor, potentially. If we make leather boots, yeah, okay, that's just going to keep us safe. It's not necessarily going to get us extra XP value. Okay, we'll grab those. That's more like it. This one at least has coal and a proliferation of other stone types, plus a little extra copper, so hopefully we'll find some more stone down here and I can test out my theory. I did also see a tip from somebody that the coal that has no value that you bring in with you can still be crafted into blocks, which do have value. They don't have a whole lot of value though, so I am going to keep this stuff around, turn it into torches, and use it as smelting fuel. Alright, we got to the end of that. Let's head on down towards the back of this cave. Let's put down some furnaces. The dirt is still spilling out of me, and I haven't quite worked out what the deal is with that. But let's start smelting some food so I can at least feel a little bit safer when I'm exploring the caves. And by the way, some people have also pointed out that there is a mod of sorts that basically provides a bunch of bug fixes for this. I still don't know exactly what the bugs in this are, so we'll run into those and see if any of them are completely game-breaking. I think a couple of times they might crash if you combine certain elements in the Minecrafter. If that turned out to be a problem for us, I will end up installing the mod, but for now we are still modless in this world, and you folks know that's the way I like to roll anyway. There we go. That's actually a patch of natural stone. Fantastic. So we'll grab hold of this, we'll get some iron, and we'll see if we can make ourselves a stone cutter. I'll start smelting the rest of this copper as well, and in theory we can quadruple the value of every block of copper we have. Okay, yep, new recipes have unlocked. Now we've got natural stone. We'll split the copper between these 2 furnaces and split the fuel as well. There we go, fantastic. Now we can craft a stone cutter. Now we should be able to pop the blocks of copper in there, and each of the copper blocks we get out, there we go. We get 4 of any of those, so chisel copper, cut copper stairs. All of that is going to be the same copper slabs. So yeah, the individual copper blocks are worth the same as a single block of copper. They're worth 1.8. But of course, you get 4 of them per crafting recipe, and you get 8 slabs per crafting recipe. So again, those are worth half of a cut copper block. Okay, the maths works out, but we are able to cheat our way to having a lot more blocks and thereby a lot more value simply because copper can convert in a 1:4 ratio. Huge, incredible. This is the new lapis, and it's the new lapis because it's available in much larger quantities than lapis lazuli is, so we should be able to get hold of a lot more copper and make ourselves a ton of XP this way. See, there's copper right here in this cave. There's a little bit more right here, so we can set up a smelting outpost, dig up all of the copper veins we can find locally, and continue on down the cave to look for more. A huge vein of copper in this world would set us up for life, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure this is how I want to play the game from now on, but we're at least going to get a bit of a boost to our XP this way. So let's keep looking. We have a bit more of an avenue down here into this cave. There's a bit more iron at the bottom here, which we'll probably be needing sooner or later because we might need to make an iron pickaxe or something. Yeah, perfect. More iron here as well. I can make myself an iron pickaxe just in case we find anything more valuable further down, but obviously we're going to have to sacrifice it at the mine exit, so let's consider making some iron boots or some other iron armor once we have a little bit more of this. Yeah, maybe a chest plate and a helmet will go a long way. There we go. We've got hold of those. We can suit up. Another copper vein right here that I failed to notice earlier will yield a little bit more of that. And at the very tail end of this mine, we're going to dig down a little bit further to see if we can reach a cave layer. I'm curious where the deep dark is generated. Well, we're definitely getting into deep slate layers, at least. A little bit of granite right here. Every patch of granite I'm looking at just in case it turns out to be a huge copper vein. I can only imagine what would be possible if you ran into a huge copper vein with a fortune pickaxe. And there we go. It seems like we have encountered the deep dark, at least. And despite the terror that this naturally brings, this is incredible news for our strategy, because if you consider that the deep dark is made up of sculk blocks, and sculk blocks drop XP when you mine them without silk touch, we would be able to get a whole lot of XP this way without ever leaving the level. We will, of course, have to deal with the creepers, who are going to sneak up on us and obviously attempt to sabotage this, but I would rather deal with them than deal with the warden, and as long as we can break any skulk sensors or shriekers without alerting the warden, we should be able to clean up in terms of XP down here. And I mean clean up kind of literally. We are going to strip as much skulk as I feel like I can out of this cave, as long as the tools will sustain it, and if we can get an iron or a diamond hoe, that'll make the process a lot faster. We do have some lapis right here, which I'm definitely going to get hold of because of how valuable the blocks are. 3.6 is still pretty valuable. It's not quite as valuable as a copper block can turn out to be, but that's looking decent. Finally, there's a little bit more iron down here. Yes, okay, great. We can turn this into an iron hoe then, at which point it's possible to just sweep through the skulk like this instead of having to break it block by block very slowly. And there we go. The XP is pouring in. And of course, we can be using our levels smarter because, as some folks pointed out, and I think I acknowledged earlier in this video, we do have the option of spending 5 levels at a time to get some of these unlocks. That means we can earn levels much faster with all of the XP that we're gathering here. And once we're back in the World Hub, I will try my best to spend the XP without collecting all of the XP from the ground. That way we can probably make better use of the levels we obtain there as well. So even though this cave is infested with creepers, I'm going to try my best to collect as much skulk as I can from the walls and floors here, including breaking any skulk sensors I find, because those will still drop XP. Same with the skulk catalysts, although there's a lot of creepers down there on the cave floor. And we're also uncovering ore blocks from the nearby walls as well, so we'll grab the lapis as we get hold of that too. That's phenomenal. That's going to be worth a great deal. It's worth more than the individual copper blocks, so a stack of lapis is going to be worth more than a stack of cut copper, but oh boy, cut copper is a bit of a revolution. Oh, we have a little stack of diamonds right here. Okay, interesting. We'll grab those. We'll try not to break the skulk layer underneath, but I really want to avoid pushing my luck too much in here because that's what got us killed in the first mine of this session. So instead, I think we'll prioritize getting back to the surface from here and look for an exit, because we already have enough copper that I think we're going to clean up once we get to the World Hub. The thing is, we have to make it out of here alive. And of course, when it comes to resource gathering, we're going to end up finding copper a lot closer to the surface than we are most of the other materials. Copper and lapis actually being the most valuable is kind of wild when they are both relatively high up in the world generation. So I think let's roam around the surface, let's look for an exit. We can maybe make a little outpost there and try and look for any large sources of copper. With 17 levels, we can finally get the warded option there, and hopefully that should allow us to use a shield. It just says better safe than sorry, and that does mean we get a shield in our inventory, but yeah, the shield seems to be a little bit bugged. Maybe that's one of the things that gets fixed by that bug fix mod that I mentioned. All right, night is falling. Let's see if we can get down into a nice, easy cave. And look at that. We've got hold of some copper ore right there, next to some granite as well, so I'm very curious if that would end up being a granite vein. But sadly, no, it looks like it's just a regular patch of granite. Never mind. I don't have a bed, so it's harder to sleep for the night when there's no sheep around, but I guess we could have got some string from spiders or something if I'd seen any generate down there. We're going to wait out the night in this cave, maybe do a little bit more digging around to see if we can't find some more copper, but in the morning, we're going to make our way to an exit. So if you go mining for naturally generated copper in the overworld, typically the best height for it is Y47 or 48. So around Y47 is where we're at right now, and we're going to do a little branch mine for some copper, probably turn these 3 diamonds into a diamond pickaxe too. And the diamond pickaxe, in terms of its value, is worth the 3 diamonds we put into it, so that's kind of interesting. I also, so far, have not noticed a pickaxe tier of the starter equipment, so it seems like we will always have to craft the pickaxe when we arrive in a new world. Also, note to self, at my earliest opportunity, I should try to insert dripstone cave biomes into world generation at the mine crafter, because those will definitely give us a ton of copper ore. Now, having mined throughout the night, it looks like the sky is lightening outside, so we're going to smelt the last of this copper. We got a little bit of raw iron from that as well, and a bit more coal. So we've got over 200 worth of experience just from these 2 stacks of cut copper, one of which isn't completely full yet. We won't, unfortunately, be able to completely fill that one out. As a rule of thumb, it seems like the blocks of iron and copper and coal and that kind of thing are going to be worth more. So we'll grab a bunch of those as well, since I think that's worth more than the coal that was used to make them. And smelted ingots seem to be worth slightly more than the not smelted raw ingredients, but it's probably worth packing all of this stuff up, taking it with us, and making sure we bring the stone cutter just in case we encounter any more copper on the way. But I'm about ready to look for an exit from this world, and it said the exits were on the surface, so we're just going to head in whatever direction we can to try and find a beacon, and it looks like there's one over there. Just out of curiosity, since this single block of iron is not going to make or break our bank balance here, I'm kind of curious how much a bucket of lava is worth. So let's grab that and see... Oh, okay, not that much then, okay. Well, torches are also worth more than the ingredients used to make them, so let's let's convert a bit more of our coal to that, and I think we are ready to get out of here. So let's leave the mine with all of these vast riches on us and see what we can unlock almost immediately as we return to the world hub. I'm going to step back from this a little bit so that the XP comes to us gradually. We're already at 30 levels. Okay, so let's spend that on Viking and probably on that as well. Fantastic. We're back up to 15 levels. That's 21, 40. Okay, gosh. We're going to start with a diamond axe and a diamond sword then. We still have 14 levels. We could even upgrade to netherite from this run. Oh my gosh, there's so much XP there. We're already at level 68. I just stepped forward once. We're back at level 57. We can get that. We've got the full netherite set upgraded. Let's see if we can do the same with shovels as well. Oh my gosh, that's so many levels. All right, we can get up to the next 2. We need 35 for Master Shoveler. It looks like we're getting a ton right away. Oh my goodness. I want to get Collector because that means we can collect stuff from further away, and that's happening with the XP orbs. I see, right. Well, we might as well get the rest of these levels now because we can put a lot into upgrading the Minecrafter now as well. That was what a success. Oh my goodness, yeah. The cut copper trick, pretty much legendary at this point. Kind of disappointed we didn't get more trophies, but then I guess I didn't fight a great deal more mobs either. Okay, what can we do with 171 levels that's going to turn our world around? I have been cautioned against getting You Are the Campfire. Apparently that's a bit of a problem, but then starting pickaxe is actually locked behind this mining tree. Okay, I did not realize that that was going to be the case, but more mining efficiency, a starting pickaxe, another starting pickaxe. You yearn for rare earth materials, rare earth specialist, okay. Silk touch pick for more ore blocks. Yep, we'll get that. We can basically max this tree out, in fact, so we might as well do that. Shield bash is an option. Now we've unlocked warded, but then we potentially have a mace available to us if we go down that route as well. Bringing a snack with you, bringing golden apples could be good, but I'm very interested in getting some armor as well, so that's really good. We'll also start with a bow and maybe some arrows. We have the fletching table in there as an option also, and then a spell book is still on the cards too. I think we'll save the spellbook for next time, but look at the amount of stuff we just unlocked, especially from the combat tree. We're going into our next mine much more kitted out, and I almost forgot, we should donate some of our levels to the Minecrafter as well to see if we can get that a little bit further progressed. We have clearly upgraded it at least once because we have the ability to put 3 more ingredients in here now. Cave exits in the next level. That's a bit of a concern. For now, folks, I think we'll wrap things up there. I do hope you've enjoyed us taking a deep dive into this ridiculous April Fool's snapshot. I'm still playing it, even though we're most of the way through April at this point. So let's see how far we can take it. For now, from me and the Minecrafter, thank you so much for watching this episode of Craft Mine. My name has been PixelRiffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care. Bye for now.
I didn't think that one through.
기사부대, I'm on the beat.
Welcome back to Debunking Iraqi Forgot. Last time I said that I doubted I'd have enough topics for yet another extras video, but of course I was wrong again and we have another big list of things to go over. Along with some new things I've never covered before, I'll be going back to older topics that I wasn't entirely clear on and may need some further elaboration. The first topic comes from part 1. After the scene that introduces Tarkus and Bruford, Dio can be seen with an ability that allows him to disappear. Some have asked what this ability is and why he never used it again. The first thing to make clear is that this is something that only happens in the anime. In the manga version of this same scene, Dio simply jumps away. As for what this ability is, it seems like Dio is turning into mist. This is a classic vampire power that's been present ever since the original Dracula novel, although I have no idea why this was added for the anime, since it just causes confusion when he never does it again. Next is a common reply I've gotten to one of the topics in my video on real Iraqi Forgots. In that video I mentioned how Joseph was able to notice that Straizo was a vampire because his breath wasn't making fog when it was cold out. This is contradicted by Dio's first appearance as a vampire in part 1, where he does have fog when he breathes. Some have countered this by saying that Straizo wasn't breathing at all, since breathing as a Haman user would kill him. That simply just isn't what's going on here, and that's not how Haman works. The whole point of the scene is that Joseph sees that he is breathing, but there's no fog. And you breathe when you talk anyway, so he would have seen the fog there. Also, simply breathing doesn't cause Haman to generate. The only way to make Haman is by using Haman breathing techniques, which Straizo consciously does at the end of the fight to kill himself. I got a comment asking how in part 2, Wamu was able to know what the dynamite did when Joseph tried to use it against him. This is explained by the already established intelligence of the Pillarmen. Santana was said to be the least intelligent one, and he was able to instantly figure out how a gun worked seconds after picking it up. Similarly, Wamu was able to figure out the purpose of the UV lights the Nazis were using and found a way to counter it just by looking at them. Also, this comment seems to mention that Wamu called it dynamite by name. However, in the manga, Wamu refers to it simply as that thing you lit with dynamite in parentheses. In the anime, Wamu just calls it an explosive. However, I finally found a place where he does call it dynamite, which is in the English dub of the anime. So I would definitely consider this to be a mistake on the dub's part. However, in the original versions of both, he never actually calls it dynamite. Some have asked why the vampires seen throughout Part 2 didn't use their special vampire abilities like Space Ripper Stinging Eyes and freezing like Dio and Straizo did. This is because Dio learned these techniques through experimentation using his vampire body over the course of many months. The vampires in Part 2 are just foot soldiers for the Pillarmen and don't have ambition like Dio did. As for how Straizo knows of these abilities, he explains that he learned it from watching Dio back in Part 1, which is also the reason he wanted to become a vampire in the first place. One comment I've gotten is related to Joseph's clackers, making this the third time I've had to talk about these godforsaken things in a video. The person says that it doesn't matter that Joseph's clackers were broken by Wired Beck, since he can simply create new ones using Haman, like Caesar creating bubbles from Haman. Now, I don't know what you have to smoke to actually believe something like this, since this is honestly crazy. This person apparently thinks that Haman can just create matter out of nowhere and summon clackers. They also seem to be completely unaware of how Caesar's bubbles actually work, since Caesar explained this very clearly alongside the introduction of his ability. Caesar's bubbles are made from a soapy liquid that he uses to coat his clothes and gloves, and the Haman is used to maintain the shapes of the bubbles he makes with these. This one definitely fits in with the list of the stupider comments I've gotten. The most sought-after object in Part 2 is the Red Stone of Asia, which Kars wants to use to become the ultimate being. A lot of fans have asked why they didn't just destroy the Red Stone before Kars could get it. This was actually directly explained in a scene with Lisa. She says that according to a legend, if the stone was destroyed, then it would be impossible to beat the Pillarmen. Some people aren't satisfied with this, however, and ask how this could possibly be the case, since none of the Pillarmen are directly defeated by the Red Stone. I'm disappointed in this lack of out-of-the-box thinking, since just because a Pillarman wasn't defeated directly by the stone doesn't mean it wasn't integral to their defeat. In fact, almost every fight with the Pillarmen has something to do with it. Of course, there is Ultimate Cars, who was defeated by the power of the red stone, but that's not really fair since he wouldn't have become the ultimate life form without the stone in the first place. SCDC wouldn't have come to the island if the stone wasn't there in the first place, and that led to his defeat. And the battles with Wamu and Cars were only possible due to the red stone, since Lisa Lisa threatened to destroy the stone if they didn't listen to her demands and arrange a fair fight. Otherwise, Joseph and Lisa Lisa would have just been killed by the army of vampires and lost anyway. So yes, the red stone was absolutely necessary to defeat the Pillar Men, just like the prophecy said. As for how such a prophecy could exist in the first place, we're well aware that fate is real in JoJo and people giving accurate fortunes is pretty common. But even more important is that we know the ability of Haman itself is able to interact with fate and view the future, which is the origin of the Haman clan's prophecy. At the beginning of Part 3, we see some flashbacks from Holly's perspective of Jotaro as a good kid, before seeing that he's a delinquent. Some have asked how this is the case, when we see in the fight with Alessi that even as a kid, Jotaro was tough. I believe this is because of Holly's personality, and that she always views Jotaro in a positive light. Even with how he's acting during Part 3,